Hello everyone, my name is Heather and welcome to the channel Bookables. Today I'll be talking about 5 recent holiday romances that came out recently within the past few months. I've read them obviously and I'll let you know whether I think they're worth the read or not. I have some that I definitely think they are and some maybe that I don't think they are. As always, the books will be linked down below as well as timestamps in case you want to hear about one particular book. The books I'll be talking about today are Good Spirits by B.K. Borison, Merry Christmas, You Filthy Animal by Megan Quinn, Gingerbread Bakery by Lori Gilmore, The Holiday Mixtape by Liberty Stowe, and Grace and Henry's Holiday Movie Marathon by Matthew Norman. Like I said, to my first book and my favorite book out of this entire video, and that is Good Spirits by B.K. Borison. In fact, I will dare say this will be on my top 10 by the end of the year. It's very rare that a holiday book does it, but B.K. Borison did it, so kudos to her. I listened to this book and I think that is the way to go. But anyway, this book is about 2 different characters. We have a character named Harriet who owns this antique shop, and she loves Christmas, she loves the holidays, she loves candy canes, but she's kind of lonely. And one night she's just chilling in her house, and then all of a sudden this guy shows up literally out of thin air, and his name is Nolan, and he is the ghost of Christmas past. And he's like, I'm here for you to review all your transgressions. You need to change some things. And she's like, I think I'm a pretty good person. I'm no Scrooge. I love Christmas. I treat people with kindness. So like, what the heck? So the whole book is about them going back into her memories and maybe figuring out, is she really meant to like change her ways, or maybe Nolan was sent for her in particular. A romance happens and chef's kiss, loved it. 5 out of 5. Ate it up. It's my favorite holiday romance of all time now. I am obsessed. So again, I say with this one, listen to this. The audiobook was phenomenal. You get both Harriet and Nolan's point of view. And in fact, Nolan is the Irish main character and I loved his voice in the audiobook. Amazing. So he's very grumpy. She's very sunshine. I've been living being a ghost of Christmas past for now such a long time. He doesn't remember much of his old life. And so you kind of figure out his goal in life and to maybe figure out how he can move on to the afterlife and have a romance between Harriet and Nolan. And it was just so sugary sweet, cotton candy. I was beyond obsessed, beyond obsessed. It was such a cute, a little bit steamy, not like a lot. I would give it like maybe like 2 out of 5 like steamy fires. I don't know what they call it, peppers, whatever. But I just love the banter between them. I love the romantic tension. I love the yearning, the magical elements into it, because this book is really heavily on, you know, him being the ghost of Christmas past and having this magic. And he even works where he goes to the office where like there's different departments. There's like a Grim Reaper's office. There's like a, you know, other things like Good Tidings, good, you know, all that kind of stuff. I just thoroughly love this book. If I recommend you any book in this whole video, it's this one. I love B.K. Borison. She just writes romance so incredibly well. And I love the relationship between her romantic partners. Like they're just so well done and I love them. So I could gush about this on and on and on, but I loved it. Again, if you read this in any format, listen to it. It is the way to go. Moving on to Megan Quinn's newest holiday romance, Merry Christmas, You Filthy Animal. As you can tell, she's kind of going on with the holiday movie type of thing. Her first book in this series was How My Neighbor Stole Christmas, like The Grinch. That was kind of inspired. This one is clearly inspired by Home Alone. And I have to say, I didn't love this one. I gave it a 3 out of 5. I think just, I have read a few Megan Quinn's books. And I think I like her regular romance books more than her holiday ones. The holiday ones just aren't it for me. And this one in particular, I didn't love the relationship between our main characters. I just didn't feel there was a lot of buildup. I don't know. I just didn't feel like there was a good foundation for them. So this book, again, follows 2 characters. We follow Atlas Max, who we saw in the first book as the main character's best friend. And he's just kind of, you know, goofy and funny and does all the things. And, you know, he helps run his family's Christmas tree farm. And then we have Betty, who is a newcomer, and she's kind of moved in with her uncle, and they live in like the neighboring farm, and her uncle really hates Max, and he's like, I want revenge on Max and I want to build an even better Christmas tree farm than his could ever be. And so Betty and Max have a lot of tumultuous first meetings, and eventually they start to connect. Steaminess happens. Like if I can get the steamy rain, it would give a 5 out of 5. Like peppers, like it was very steamy. Like she puts a lot of food stuff in it, which I not the biggest fan of. I don't know. I just didn't love it. Another qualm I have with Megan Quinn books in general, they are so long. This book is how long is this book? It's 439 pages, which is actually pretty short for books, but like, I don't think a holiday book needs to be that long. I really, really don't. I don't think a romance book needs to be that long. I think anywhere between 300 and 400 is a good spot for romances. That may just be me, but I don't know. I just didn't love it. It wasn't something I obsessed over. It was like, if you just want a good, I'd say if you just want a steamy holiday romance, then yes, it's set in a town where it's called Kringle and they do all of the holiday things. That's great for it. But for me, it just wasn't there. So I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. It's kind of like so-so. We have The Gingerbread Bakery by Lori Gilmore. This is the 5th book in the Dream Harbor series. I have read all of them except for I have not read the Strawberry Patch Pancake House. And honestly, with seeing the characters in this one, I don't know if I will want to see. But either way, this is about a character, Annie, who has been throughout this whole series, as well as Mac, who's also been in this whole series. And dare I say, I think this might be my favorite out of the series. I also listened to this one as well. I also like the audio of this one as well. That may be why I liked it so much. I don't know. I do think listening sometimes, and if it's a good audiobook, can affect your rating and how much you do enjoy a book. I do think that. You know, that's everyone. But either way, Annie owns the Gingerbread Bakery, and then Mac owns the pub a couple places down. Now, throughout this whole series, Annie and Mac have a very tumultuous relationship. You can tell something happened to them in their past, and they just kind of loathe each other now. More so, Annie loathes Mac. And in this book, you finally get to see what actually happened. So this is a second chance romance, and you learn that Annie and Mac had a very whirlwind Christmas romance, like 10, 15 years ago, and Matt kind of, you know, he did Annie dirty. I'm not gonna lie to you. He did Annie dirty. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I think the qualm I have with this book is Annie just never forgave and never listened to Mac. There were so many points in this where you can tell Mac clearly still has very much feelings for Annie, and he wants to be like, let's talk about what happened years ago. I want to tell you about my side. I want to bury the hatchet. At least, you know, if I can't have a chance with you, let's be friends. And Annie's like, no, 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 no. Because this whole book takes place during a wedding weekend of our main characters in the very first book. And so this book takes place in a weekend, but you get flashbacks of when Annie and Mac became friends, and then something more many, many moons ago. And then it takes place during the weekend where eventually they do reconcile and things like that. So I enjoyed it. I think I've just learned I love a good second chance romance. I just really, really do. I think it's amazing having an established relationship with these characters that already know each other, so they're not meeting fresh and things like that. You just have a second chance at love. And I enjoyed it, I will have to say. But the only thing, like I said, I did not like was just Annie's rigidness, like with not listening. And eventually she changed a little bit, but still I was like, girl, like, come on. You complain a lot that you're older and you've forgotten things, but if you're older and you've forgotten things, you at least talk about it and move on. Maybe that's just me. As I get into, you know, approaching 40 every year, I'm getting closer to it. I'm like, just talk and let's freaking move on. But again, maybe that's me. But I still enjoyed it. I would give it a 4 out of 5. I liked it. Then moving on to the Holiday Mixtape by Liberty Stowe. I'm not gonna lie to you, I saw this on NetGalley and the cover really intrigued me. It had like a Volkswagen Bug and a cassette tape, and if you don't know, millennials will usually read anything that has anything nostalgic on the cover. Throw a cassette tape, a CD, a freaking VHS tape on there, I will freaking read you, because if it's gonna remind me of my childhood, then I'll freaking do it. Sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't. This one I did not love. I would give it, I mean, honestly, I would give it a 2.5 out of 5. I was so bored with this book. I was so bored. This whole book is about this character named Erica with a K, and that's one of the things I did not like about it. She reminds you so often it's Erica with a K, and I'm like, I could care less. I really could. Like, I don't know why this is so important. Like, do you think Courtney's with the K really do like this? Or like, I mean, like, what? Like, it's just so, I think it wouldn't bother me if they only talked about it a couple times in this book, but it was talked about very frequently. Like, it's Erica with a K. If you spell it wrong, you say it wrong. It's just, I'm like, oh my gosh. Anyway, at the beginning of this book, she works at this marketing. She's a really good marketer. She does a pitch. It crashes horribly. And her bosses are like, like, you need to take a break from, like, working here. And so she's like, crap. And then she gets keys from her great aunt that lives in this Christmas town. I forget what the town is called exactly. Blitzen, Kentucky. And so her grand aunt is off on a venture, and so Erica with the K, I will say that because it talks about it that much, moves in there, and she's like, she realizes that Blitzen is really not doing well. It's a very small town. Everybody knows everybody. It's good camaraderie, but they are really trying to get a new fire truck because if they don't, a lot of the taxes will be, the people there will get taxes more, like, and it will just not be really good for the economy. And so she's like, let me do my job of a good marketer and make Blitzen, Kentucky, like the big Christmas thing it once was. With that, she meets Court, also with a K. That's a big freaking deal. And he is a local basketball coach and gym teacher at the high school, and he's also a volunteer firefighter, and he's also like the town's most eligible bachelor. Him and Erica get paired up a lot, and he's very grumpy, she's very sunshine. It's a very slow burn romance, and it does get steamy, but the whole book is like her trying to save this Christmas town, and then Court coming out of his shell and learning about his past and the heartbreak and a lot of grief he's had to deal with. And also there's this mixtape involved that's a very minuscule thing she buys at like a flea market, and like somehow whenever she plays it in the Volkswagen Bug that her great aunt like owns that she rides, it plays like exactly the same music when she gets out. I don't know, it just, I'm not gonna lie to you, it was boring. I did not enjoy it. It wasn't really anything memorable. I didn't love the romance. It was just annoying. I don't want to sometimes it just happens, okay? Some books you read are just not going to be the book for you, and this one wasn't, and that's okay. I can say I love the cover and I love the premise of it, but it just, for execution, it just wasn't there for me. I just didn't love it, and I really struggled my way through it. I'm not going to lie to you, but it's okay. If you enjoy this book, I'm happy for you, and hey, a holiday romance is a holiday romance, so no judgment here whatsoever. Signing off with Heather with an H. Sorry, I had to do that. I had to do it. And Henry's Holiday Movie Marathon by Matthew Norman. This one, I was so debating on not to read because it sounded like a sad book, but it's a really beautiful book about grief and friendship and just learning how to move on, and if you can move on after grief. So this book follows Grace and Henry. At the very beginning of the book, actually I should say that each chapter is kind of inspired by different holiday movies. Like they start with Die Hard, and then Plane, Trains, and Automobile, The Family Stone, things like that. But the beginning of the book is right when Grace's husband passes away, and she is just going through it. And also Henry also just recently lost his wife, and so their moms like conspire to like get them to be friends because they know that they are both very, very lonely and can use some friends. And so they decide, hey, inspire them to date each other. But it's clear that they are both not ready for this at all, and there is no judgment in that. But they also, Grace and Henry, see that no one can understand how they feel other than each other because they're both going through the exact same thing. And so Henry sees this ad for like a holiday movie marathon coming on, and him and his wife used to do that. So he's like, hey, let's maybe try to do that. And then also Grace's children kind of join in the mix. And then every movie plays, because like I said, every chapter is a different movie. They, you know, learn more about each other and their grief and things like that. And it's a beautiful book. Like, you know, Henry is still very much cloaked in grief, and he is sad and doesn't talk a lot. And then Grace kind of masked her grief with a lot of like humor and like kind of witty banter and things like that, and they just really meshed well together. And it's a beautiful book about the holidays because it's their first holidays without their spouses and how like they can cope with that. And I really loved it. It's one that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, but I really, really enjoyed it. And like I said, I'm halfway through, but I could definitively say that this is going to be a 4-star for me because of just how well written it is. I am really enjoying it. It's a beautiful book, and I really love that it's not like shoving down romance like right after a spouse dies, because no, it's more about friendship and learning how to grieve and learn about life after, you know, loss and things like that. So I really enjoyed it. I don't think a lot of people talk about it, but man, if you want a little bit more emotional Christmas romance, I would highly recommend checking this one out. I'm gonna have to buy my own copy because I enjoy it that much. So either way, those are my thoughts and feelings about 5 holiday romances. If you've read any of these, I would love to know if you have the same thoughts. If you don't, let me know down in the comments. And I hope you are reading all of the great holiday romance books that you can read. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.